Do you remember the the gobstopper sweets that you used to have that used to be like crack your teeth when you were like a child? You used to go
Yeah,
around the
man.
corner and buy gobstoppers and ice cream chewits and like whatever else was
Yeah.
going on. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
man. Yeah,
Oh, it
yeah.
was a
And you
great
had like
day when you went. Yeah, the
nerds
marvelous. Oh my, I still have nerds now. When you can buy them in Tesco and like the international department
and
where they've got like
dweebs, is it?
do it.
Nerds and
Oh
dweebs?
my god, yeah. Do you remember
Yeah.
vice verses that were like minstrels, but they were like some were like milk chocolate with white in, and the others were white with milk chocolate in. We used to get so excited about getting vice verses after swimming on a Saturday or on a Friday, right? On a Friday, we were allowed 50p each, and we'd go like to the music to buy our sweets. And this was at a point where you could buy like 50 sweets for 50p. Like
Right, when
everything was
penny
like a
sweets were a
penny.
penny. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like you need a fiver just to buy a bar of chocolate.
I
It's
know,
like,
right?
what?
I can't believe it. It's like I remember coming home from
Crazy.
school, my mum giving me a pound.
Yeah.
I'd go to the corner store and I'd get like a drink, um, a packet of crisps, a chocolate bar, some penny sweets,
Everything.
and then
Yeah.
give my mum like,
The
80p
change.
change.
Do
Do
you
you
do
know
you
what I
remember
mean?
those do you remember those twist and squeeze drinks? They were like really thin bottles and the top was like you twisted it. I've been remembering them ages and then I found them in this like random grocery store. I've got them in the fridge downstairs. I'll have to show you. I like, bought them. They're vile. They taste disgusting, but it's just like, what the hell? I was like, I was so
Memory
excited.
lane.
I just no, seriously, I was that excited. I like jumped, nearly wet myself in the shop and like bulk bought about 10 of them. And I got home, I was like, I don't even like the taste of these. Like crazy. Like, and
So
what they
good.
would have probably been like 20p. And like in those days, but they were now like 50p. I was like, I spent a fiver on like some kind of like artificial like water. It's a
Yeah.
bit bizarre. Like
Yeah,
just
totally.
just just for the experience of twisting and squeezing the top. Like
Oh yeah,
seriously, I could
totally.
have just
Yeah.
got bubble wrap. Like, but anyway, yeah,
There was
gobstoppers.
also, do you remember
Oh.
those triangle things that you could like either drink them or freeze them?
Stop it, Jubblies. I buy these in bulk. I've had through the night, I've had about 10 literally Jubblies on my life. I have strawberry ones, I have cola ones. Don't like the orange ones. Tropical ones are vile. The cherry ones are amazing, but no, they're out of stock at the moment. I survive. Even in hospital, I have my own care plan for Jubblies, Nikki. Seriously, I had my own care plan for Jubblies because, like, that was the only way that I could hydrate. And now the thing is, I've got Jubblies and Calippos.
Oh my
But
God.
the exciting thing is, they used to only do orange in the UK. So whenever I was abroad, especially in Ibiza, the first thing I would do go to the shop, buy orange, strawberry, like lemon and cola. Then they brought cola out over here, and it was vile, so I've not touched it. But then I was in some like random place about an hour away in Castleton, like some country like valley somewhere, and they had lime, and I literally wet myself. And then I bought two, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm going back to buy them. So I went back the next day, an hour away, and like the shop was shut. I was destroyed. So I put a little piece of paper under the door with a note on it. Can you please call me? Like I need to come buy these. And then I was in the gym 2 days later and the phone went. And I was like, I don't answer no numbers, but I thought, oh, it might be like someone phoning me back. It might be that guy. And it was. And he's like, hello. I was like, hi. He's like, it's me. And I was like, who's me? He's like, the ice cream man. I was like, oh, he's like, did you put the note under my door? I was like, yeah. I'm so sorry. We weren't open at that point. I was like, oh, he goes, right, I haven't got any. I was like, oh no. He's like, but my supplier, he's got one box left, just one though. He's got one box and you can have it. He said he's saving it for you. I was like, oh, okay, can I get it delivered? He went, no. I said, oh, right, okay, so like, where are they? In like Sheffield. I was like, oh, I see. Wow. Like, so what did I do the next day? I fucking drove to Sheffield and back on the snake path in the rain to go and buy a box of green calippers. Yeah, don't even go there. And this
So
was before, right? You think that's bad, right? The next thing, I found them online, yeah. And then a couple of days later, like I was in the study here, my dad was working, and this HG, I said to him, I've got a delivery coming. I didn't tell him what because he got off his head. Um, so I was waiting for these like Calippo drive. I was all excited. I was like getting like really, in the moment, really excited for the time I was going to be spending with my like lime and orange Calippos. And this huge big lorry starts like reversing and like back moving into like the cul-de-sac. And my dad was like, "What the hell have you ordered?" And I was like, "Oh, ice pops." And this man, like, because he rang me, he was like, "It's me, your delivery driver." I was like, "Okay." He was like, "Where are you?" I was like, "Number 60." He was like, "Oh, no, no, I'm in the wrong area." I was like, "Okay." Anyway, he started like reversing into this cul-de-sac and brought out on like a crate roller, like fucking ice lollies. My dad was like, "Nothing will surprise me. With nothing will surprise me, seriously." That is that is literally insane. And I've just been on the phone with them because they've double charged me. They've charged me twice, like 70 quid twice. So I said, "You didn't even deliver them on time. You spent a week farting around. You woke me up at 7 a.m. to tell me that they were arriving and they never came." So I was like, spent a day in the house. And now you've like charged me £70 twice. I was like, I need £70 back. But anyway, so yeah, that's my ice pop drama story. So there's something exciting for you.
That's
I'll behave you now. I go off on tangents and I talk over, so you have to shut me up.
no, I love
Right,
it.
I'm all prepared.
I
I love the
absolutely.
purple hair against the black, the Nikki smash. So cool. I just love it.
Oh man.
I'm
Well,
just gonna screenshot this. This is hilarious. You are so funny. Let me screenshot it. Oh, I haven't screenshot. Yeah, you'll just have to see it out while I screenshot. Why isn't it working? Oh, it works. Do it again. Just
excellent.
do it. My phone. One more. There we go. Got it.
There you go.
Super.
Got it. You have to send it to me.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was the best introduction to a podcast I've ever witnessed in my entire life. So, you know,
It's a fabulous story.
I know. So welcome to the Nikki Smash Show podcast, Lauren.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very honoured.
We're
Your
your guest
first
number
podcast.
one. Guest number
Guest
one.
number one of many.
Yeah, of many. Yeah.
Lots to
So
talk about. Yeah.
where do we start? Because you've got one of the most incredible stories. So
Well, bless you. I'm
where
not sure what to call it incredible, darling, but it's definitely a story.
you're a fucking inspiration, man. So
Oh,
where do we start? Where do we start? I think
where do we start?
um
I'm an open book. Where would you like to start?
well, let's go from when I was aware of what was happening, maybe. So
Oh
I
yeah,
went.
that would be interesting because a lot, like some people have got in contact with me after I did the thing with Dom to say, I spoke to you about this, and I was like, "You did?" Like I was like, I don't remember. And then when you said the other day, I remember speaking to, was it Katie or someone, the receptionist, and I was like, I don't know, I just don't know any of this. So like, I'll probably learn from you.
Interesting. Okay, so
Funnily,
we'll go from there then. So
yeah, let's do it.
at the time, you know, I was friends with Katie. I haven't actually seen her in many years, but she was like, "Oh, I've got lunch at, you know, whatever time. Do you want to grab a coffee and sit on the beach?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do that." So went down to the beach, and she was like, "Oh man," like she was like a bit, you know, like flustered or whatever.
Oh,
And I
God.
said, "Hey, what's up? Are you all right?" And she's like, "You know, Lauren." I was like, "Yeah, of course." She's like, "Oh, she passed out in class today." And I said, "What? She passed out?" She went, "Yeah,
Oh,
like
God.
fully passed out, like full, like needed like evacuate the room type of jobby and get air and
Oh,
all this stuff."
oh my
And I was
God.
like, "Jesus fuck, like why?" And she was like, I don't know what it is, but you know, she's like, I hope that she's not doing. She said, I hope it's not some self-harm thing. So I was like, well, I didn't think I couldn't put that
Yeah.
into my thought. I didn't think that,
Mm.
you know, that would be going on with you. And then
Mm.
later on that day, I sent Steph a text going like,
Yeah, because I was living with stuff at the
because you
time.
two were living together at the time, I think.
Yeah, we were. We were in Palmyra Square
Palmyra
on the
Square,
beachfront.
man.
We were in Hove, darling. We're in a
Hove,
lovely
darling. I was just round the
apartment.
corner. I
No
literally lived the
way.
next road over. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so I text Steph
Come to
and
our apartment, didn't you?
sorry.
You will have definitely been in our apartment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like, you know, the original pop star
Oh yeah, darling. I
pad.
know. Yeah.
I
Oh,
know
it certainly was.
it
Three
was.
singers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. God. So
Beige. Everything was
everything
beige.
was beige.
Everything was marble and beige. And when you fake tan, beige is not a good color.
Oh
Which is a
man,
very
I
bad
had
colour.
so much sambuca in your flat. Drank so much sambuca in your flat, man. But I
Well,
sent.
you had a blast. It was an amazing thing
Yeah,
to
I
do.
know it was so.
Why
good.
not? You know, why not?
It was like the woman equivalent of like a bachelor pad. It was so
You
good.
could certainly call it that. Let me tell you now, there were certain things coming and going from that house that definitely, yeah.
Maybe that's
We
for
were
episode two.
yeah, maybe episode 2, misbehaving in the bachelorette pad.
In the bachelorette pad. I love that. That's great. So yeah, I sent
Oh my goodness.
Steph a text and I was like, hey, I was with Katie this afternoon and she said that Lauren had, she had passed out like in class. And Steph was like, yeah, I think she's starving herself. And I was like, what? And then I kind of didn't like ask anything more upon that. I was just like, okay, I didn't, because bearing in mind, like how young were we were like 2021.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
This was 2007, 2008.
yeah, it was in 2008. So we're looking at
Yeah, so because we were in,
yeah.
so we were in the same year at BIM Brighton.
Yeah.
I was doing guitar, you doing vocals.
Yeah.
So
So
we
I
were.
did the first 3. Yeah, I think it was 2008.
It will be like near the summer of 2008, I think.
Yeah, it was around then because I was still living with Steph. It was coming up to the summer, and I got called in eventually by BIM, and they sent me home. I had to take a year out, and then I went back for a year, and that was just so messed up. That was just fucked up. But yeah, so that would have been 2007, 2008, around about springtime.
Yeah,
Because I
because
was working at
Steph and Nat and Alex were in Mascara at the time.
Mascara.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You
So
remember Mascara?
yeah, so this is it, right? Can you remember all that?
Crazy. I can remember
Yeah.
Mascara. Yeah, this is crazy. I remember some wild nights. What was that like bar called? That was like it was like on the main street because there's like a picture of us all. There's like me, Natalie, Alex, Steph, and I think that was it. And we were all like sitting together because you'd written something under the picture. It's a really old picture on Facebook. I'd have to find it for you and pull it out. But yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Is it the Providence or somewhere?
Yes, because we used to drink in there, and now it's a
Yeah.
co-op.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a co-op now. Yeah.
Brighton
That
High
place was
Street's all it is.
awesome.
It's fucking supermarkets.
I know,
Yes,
man.
it was.
God,
That was great.
we used to get drunk in there, man.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
God,
I
do you
can't
remember?
drink wine now from one of our first nights in the pub tab where
Oh
like
my God,
me
that's
and
gone as
Steph
well
thought
now,
it
I think.
you're joking.
No, I think that's gone as well. Yeah.
Traumatized because like me and Steph thought it was like a marvelous idea to buy a bottle of wine each and get like 3 straws, like just connect them all together and put a straw in the bottle and just drink a bottle of wine. I've never been so ill in my life. They had to put me in a taxi, and there's this video of me with like my hands on the window and my face just like watching like them like wave me off while I'm like, oh. And my like housemate had to like carry me into the house, and I think I barfed every like step I took. And I just woke up like flat face on the floor, like literally. That's what you do when you're like a fresher, isn't it? You think, well, hey, I've moved to the bottom of the country. No one's gonna go and get smashed, and never
Oh
drink
God.
wine ever again. I can't drink wine now. I can't. It's just
Oh my God.
yeah, wine.
God, yeah, messy times. I can't. If I even smell the scent of licorice or aniseed,
Oh no,
I'm out. I'm out.
no.
Can't do it, man. I can't do it.
I remember Steph used to just buy these massive, big, like 3-4 liter bottles of Strongbro. Is it Strongbro or something? Some kind of
Yes,
lager.
she was
And I was like, "What are you doing?" She just drank the whole
cider
thing before we
fiend.
even went out. I was like, What is that? It looks like
Yeah.
fucking urine. Like, what are you drinking?" Like even now, I don't get why. Like, I know it's really bad, but I'm like, you're a woman. Why are you drinking beer? Like, I do it with my mum. Like, what do you mean lager? Like, and everyone's like, try this. It's really nice. I'm like, no, it has to be a strawberry daiquiri or something sweet. I cannot deal with lager. Like,
Oh my God.
just
I'm a gin
no.
guy now. Like I'm
Oh,
all
you've gone
about
up
the
in the
gin.
world. You've gone up in the world. I learned so much about gin in something called like the Florist or something like that in Liverpool on my friend's hen party. It was like a gin tasting session,
Oh
like
my
to this
God.
massive table of about 30 of us. And her mum's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And there was like this guy who was sitting opposite me, he was like the head of like it's like, have you heard of the chain The Botanist?
No,
Like
I haven't.
Oh, you need to come to Cheshire, darling. It's all up north where we have nice things. It's partly connected to that. It's partly connected to that. And there was like this gin tasting session that her sister had set up. So all these different gins were going round and round and round and round and round the table. And I was passing my gin on because I can't bear gin. So mine was just being passed on. Marg, Lizzie's mum at the end of the table, she sat next to her two sisters. Neither of them drink like either. So she was having, instead of having like 6 gins, she ended up having 18 gins. And she was absolutely plastered by like 3 p.m. It was, I've never laughed so hard in my life. But yeah, we're going off topic. I'm doing it again. You're a gin drinker. I admire you. And I wish you well. But try a daiquiri. You'll never look
Oh
back.
man, when I was in Vegas, I was all over the.
You're in Vegas? Oh my God.
I was all over strawberry daiquiris. Yeah.
Oh my God. But you've never had one made by Parry.
No, I haven't. I haven't had a Parry daiquiri.
You need a Parry daiquiri.
I need
Everyone
a Parry
needs
daiquiri.
a Parry daiquiri. Yeah, me one really badly.
Once the world returns to normal.
Tell me about it.
Right.
Tell me about it. Do you remember Conrad?
Yeah, Conrad's one of my best friends.
No way, because he started messaging me after I started my new My Body, My Voice page. He's just been messaging me constantly ever since. He's really nice. But he was like, oh, can you tell me like the first memory you have with BIM? And I was like, to be honest, no, but I'll tell you what I do remember is the morning after that Halloween party, you came in to like, it was a John Stewart lecture, so it must have been business or something. And you were still dyed green. Like you were literally green.
Yeah,
and like you sat down and I was like, he used food coloring.
Yeah, that's it.
I used it because he sat down and he was like 2 seats away from me, and I just looked and I burst out laughing, and he was like, what? I was like, I'm not, I can't even like look at you right now. Like I'm hungover and you're still green. Like, what is this? Like,
he was green for like a week.
I know, and like it would be like different if you were like a normal university, it would stand out. But with BIM, when people got those holes in their ears that like are at the bottom of the floor, and they've got like beards that are coming out their arsehole, and Conrad like dyed green was just, that was just normal. Like looked like a fucking green like Crayola pencil or something.
Do you remember my haircut?
Crayon. Yeah, I do remember your hair. It's fabulous. You've always got fabulous hair.
I don't. That's the thing.
Even if it's purple.
Yeah, it's supposed to be grey. Fucking damn it.
I know. Why would you want to dye your hair grey?
I just want
any reason? Just maturity? Did you want a bit more respect from your younger students, your cohort?
Maybe so. Maybe my normal brown hair.
Are you trying to be hip? Oh my God, I can't believe I just said hip. Oh my God.
I'm not hip.
We're old. Yeah,
we're not
shouldn't
old.
be a word.
We're not old.
No,
man.
We're not old. We're so young.
No, but we're going off topic again. But
yeah, we are. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
We need to. As Andrew says to me, Lauren, shut up and focus. Focus for you, Nikki. Here we are. Go.
We're back.
We're back. We're back at them.
Yeah, so that was it. And I remember texting Steph, and she was saying, "Oh, I think she's like starving herself basically."
Mm-hmm.
And then as time went on, you know what it's like at that time. I just was on tour all the time, so I kind of lost connection with Steph and you guys and that whole thing. I just, I don't. It's
crazy, isn't it? How
I was just living on tour that time, but I think it was a good couple of years went by, and then I think you re-added me on Facebook.
Did I?
Yeah, I think it was a different profile.
I'm going to agree with you because I'm really shit with Facebook now. I'm just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, you probably are right. Yeah.
And you had no history pictures on there at all.
Really?
Yeah, you had no history pictures on there at all, and it was just a picture of you. I think in. If I remember rightly, I'm pretty sure it was some sort of like dress, but you were in like the blazing hot sun.
The blazing hot sun.
Yeah, and then I was just like, oh my God, like is she okay?
I've got history picture. Maybe they're not. I do remember doing something about that I can see them, but nobody else can see them. Maybe.
Right.
I don't
Okay.
know. I'd have to go back and check that. But yeah, no, I think it all. If we go back to like the year when I was living with Steph and class, we were in Bulimia,
So go back
and
to
that's when
2008.
so that's when mascara came alive, and it was that time of like time in the kind of BIM years. So that was my third year at BIM because Steph wasn't there anymore. Claire had only done the higher diploma. No, Claire had only done the diploma, so she'd gone already the year before. Then Steph did the second year, and then we had to re-audition and go through that process to get onto the degree.
Yeah.
So eventually got it was left to the last minute. I got accepted onto the degree for vocal, so that was great. So I went and did that. But the previous year, like one of my friends that I'd been really close with at home, she'd taken like a gap year from like between school and uni because she wasn't sure what I wanted to do. We worked at Sainsbury's together. I was like did the whole school because that's just what you did on Saturdays while you're in sixth form. And so we were close, and I said, "Oh, like she's a great singer." So I was like, "Oh, you should like audition for BIM." Like, so she did. She got in. She came and moved in with me, into the house that I would share the previous year. So this second year, I shared the previous year with Lucy and Andrew from, Your Army? Do you remember the band Your Army?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was living with those two and another two people, someone called Tinks and another called Elia, who was absolutely hilarious. He was like Swedish and drunk all the time, and he was a drummer. So funny. No, literally coming down for breakfast and he's sitting there with his like spliff hanging out of his mouth, like morning lol.
Oh my god, that was
like,
BIM.
oh my god, have you made my beans, lol? I'm like, oh my god. Obviously, everyone calls me lol, so I introduce myself as lol to them. So when Ilya like sitting there in the morning and morning lol, I'm like, oh my god, like you nut job. But anyway, so she. I don't know what happened, Nikki. Whether it's because we were in the same class together and we were basically with each other 24/7, but something happened. I don't know what happened, but she like just turned on me and then turned everyone like against me, and I was literally like. So when I went back, I for some reason was the only person that was put into like the class where it had not been there the previous year, so that it was split up. There was the students that had rolled on. And then there was the new students that had just come on to start the degree. Right. So I was put in like the other group away from everybody else. So I was being fucking isolated. And then Claire was going wild with like bits and bobs, and Steph was going on with mascara, and all different things were going on. And I just started to struggle with like where I was fitting in. And I was like, I always had this thing, even from like primary school and even high school, it would be like, oh, like you need to be. I had this idea. I was like, okay, so you need to be like commercially. You need to look more commercial. So you need to, lose weight, and then once you've lost weight, then you can start. So it was always a do this first and then. But what started off as me going on to lose weight as an Atkins diet, I was like, I'm going to try this. And Steph and Claire like were with me on it, and they were like, we'll help you. We'll do this. Because when I came down to Brighton, I was like heavy, and then I lost 2 stone with the first year, just from moving around and cooking myself and all that. And then I was the same, and then the third year, that's when I was working at Telegen as well with a lot of BIM students, and I just was that bloody Atkins diet. So you're supposed to do like the first 2 weeks is called an induction phase, where you're supposed to basically put your body into ketosis by only taking in a maximum of 20 grams of carbohydrate a day. So what that means is your body would naturally, don't worry, they're just my knees. I've just put my knees up. They're not like weird space objects here. Your body burns your carbohydrate for energy, and you're supposed to have 200 milligrams, whatever, of carbohydrate a day for your body to do that. And if you do not have that, then your body will burn your fat, and that is you in ketosis. And it's a big thing now. That I was reading something last night about you can take this tablet, this magic tablet, and it'll just make you lose weight. It's all bullshit, but whatever. So that's ketosis. But I, for some reason, like started to get quite addicted to remaining in ketosis. And I remember like I would be going from like a full day at BIM, and then I was like walking to work, which is down in like the North Lanes, and then back in. And I just remember specifically one evening I just got into work, and I was like just ran to the loo, and I was like sat on the floor like practically having a fit because my body was like shaking that much, because all I'd had was like Diet Coke for literally like about 3 days. And I don't know why that's what it started off. So what started off as healthy, it started then me becoming afraid of eating. And then I started dropping a lot of weight, and then people started to get involved, which then made it harder for me to disassociate myself and rationalize and be like, okay, something's wrong, you need to look at it now.
Yeah.
So with everybody getting involved and saying, there was various different things, people like said there were whisperings going on, there was tutors like, what the hell are we going to do with this? Like I was getting like approached, like people were like remarking to me, and I'm like, what? Like it just, people became obsessed about like this one thing, obviously, because from I don't know, because I don't remember much, but from what Dominic said, the change seemed to be pretty dramatic pretty fast.
Yeah, I remember.
But I was still within a healthy, I was still within a healthy weight range at that point. And at that point it wasn't, I did not know that what that was there would be what the next 10 years would ensue. And that's why the reason that I feel that I've actually remained alive, which may sound dramatic, but
no, not at all.
That it has been, and in fact this is what I've just been talking to Isabel about in Sydney, is the fact that like I could tell you all about it, but I don't connect with it. I don't think like, oh, that was me. I think, oh shit, like you practically died like 4 times. What? I don't know why, but I didn't know that was gonna happen. So, but I mean, I do think that, we are accountable. We do make our own decisions in life, and, we are the author of our own stories. But that is if your mind as well. Like if your mind is unwell, or, there's a spark missing, there's something wrong, then I don't think that you're fully responsible for the decisions that you make under the influence of that illness, or
100%.
under the influence of it being, starting to be infested by an eating disorder, because an eating disorder is absolutely nothing to do with food or weight. The physical, like the consequences of the illness are seen first physically. So people tend to focus on what they're seeing from the outside, but you can have someone who's overweight and they have an anorexic mindset. You do not need to be a specific size to be struggling. It's a mental illness. And the shocking thing is, at the moment, is it's so deadly, and people are not aware, because they just kind of, even in mental health charities, and when they did that big mental health campaign at the start of the original lockdown on the BBC, and they covered every single illness, from every medical, not medical, mental health illness, but they didn't do eating disorders, because they don't even train nurses, because they don't know what works. You can have like 50 people in one room, all diagnosed with, say, bulimia. Not one of them will struggle in the same way. You all have to have individual care plans of what will work for some people, will not work for others. But it's so important that it's seen, because it's the one mental illness. And I know there's so much awareness, and there's so much acceptance for mental health, which is brilliant, because it needs to be that way. But it's the one mental illness that they can't give you a pill for. You can be treated for schizophrenia. You can be treated for bipolar, psychosis. You can abstain from alcohol and drugs. You can't not eat and drink, and there is no pill for an eating disorder. You have to save yourself. And in that way, the longer it goes, the harder it is to do that. And you will not always see the other side, which is the more terrifying thing, because the most insanely intelligent, beautiful, wonderful, gentle, incredible human beings I have met over the past 10 years have all been struggling in an eating disorder hospital, where you are put because you are extremely unwell, even though you're like, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, you feel like you're being punished. It's like, it's awful experience. But I've met like the 4 people that I know that have died have come from hospital admissions, and it's because of 3 of them were extreme suicide methods, and that was down to, the lack of efficient medical care and lack of communication. And the other one was just had a heart attack, which is scary because it's like people like, doesn't it scare you? And I'm like, it scares me for other people. And they're like, but what about you? And I'm like, I don't really associate that, because we were just talking. And I was like, it's like I've never actually like sat there. And she's like, you don't write it down, because you write it down and you're feeling that pain. And I'm like, oh, is that why I like don't do it? She's like, you just like laugh it off. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's not like that extreme. And she's like, it is. And I'm like, it really isn't. I was like, I'm fine. I always bounce back. Like this, like I'm always fine. Like it's just my personality. But like I go in and I'm like, what can I do to help? Like I'm trying to like set up like therapy groups, because they're not doing their own therapy groups, and it's like insane. But like on my 30th birthday, I came onto Brighton with a couple of my friends. Couldn't even like walk out of the hotel without having to like, it was scary. Like at my lowest, like I was like, you had to bend over just to be able to see, like you can't breathe. Like it's like to walk was insane. I mean, I'll mention now, and it's not something that I'll focus on or will say, if you are struggling with an eating disorder and listening to this, then please do not listen to this next part. I'm 5'11", and at my lowest, when I was taken into hospital, I was 28 kilos, which is a matter of about 63 pounds. And that is, yeah, that's like about 9 kilos lighter than I am now. And my BMI is still only around 13 now. I still haven't like another 10 kilos to gain before I'm classed as moderately, anorexic. But that's all in the works at the moment, which is great. I'm working with a personal trainer. I'm doing as well as I can do. But that I hit that point twice. And I remember the last mission I was in hospital, and I knew the staff because from the first time, and they literally, what noticed me is that when I got dragged in there, they like they weighed me there, and then I said, I'm not being weighed. You never weighed me like the first night. You always weighed me the next morning. And they were like, oh, nothing will come of it. It'll all be fine. Like just do it. So I did. And I was like, for fuck's sake, because I was maybe manipulating my weight at the time, so they thought I was heavier than I was. Don't ask me why. That's what eating disorders do, and it's wrong. Do not do that.
What were you saying? You were manipulating your weight numbers higher than they were?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I was trying to make myself heavier than I was.
Right.
So I was using weights like in the sleeves of my like coat to like make them think. But that's something like, it's so extreme. But it like people do it. It's insane. Or I've heard of people dying from water loading. They basically load on so much water, like I'm talking liters and liters, that they drown. Their body goes into shock and they drown. And it's like this has actually happened. Like, and it's fucking scary. And so at that point, like I remember the first morning, and I was just so not there. I was just so out of it. And like they brought the weight, like the weighing scale, to my room, and this had never been done in the history of the entire like eating sort of world. I was like, there's no way. And like I had to have 2 nurses like lift me out of bed. I couldn't lift myself out of bed. And they like lift me up.
Just that week, just no strength.
Yeah, I was just like, I couldn't. I just remember like I'd basically we'd planned an admission, like 4-week admission. So I'd got in and we planned it. This is when they thought like my weight was higher. Anyway,
what
so
do you mean
a couple
by,
of weeks.
What do you mean by a 4-week admission?
So going into hospital for 4 weeks,
right?
To try and regenerate weight gain. Because they put you on a set meal plan, you basically have to sit and do nothing, and then they monitor your every move. So he wanted to. My consultant thought that might be a good idea just to kickstart everything off in the new year. So I agreed to it, and we went in and we set a set care plan. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. We'll do this. We won't do this. It was all kind of sorted. But then I actually got really ill. What we thought was the flu was actually really embarrassing. I ended up in hospital because I was like really badly impacted. Like, so basically my body wasn't functioning properly, so I couldn't like poo. And basically everything was like, I was impacted. Like when they did my like stomach x-ray, she was like, I'm sure it'll be fine. Like there won't be anything there. It'll be something else. And she came back and she was like, this is the doctor. She was like, so I don't want to like worry you, but you are impacted like right up to here. Jeez. And I was like, what? she was like, yes, we're going to be enemies. And I was like, no, you're not. And she's like, yeah, because basically the feces was just poisoning my blood. So it was like just coming out. Oh, it was horrendous. I've never been so ill and in so much pain in my life. I don't know what childbirth is like, but oh my God, like congratulations, women, because that pain was like something I've never experienced in my life. But so straight from that, I ended up straight into hospital. And I was just, I couldn't thing with me is I unashamedly function very well at a ridiculous low weight. Like my BMI now, somebody could be in hospital right now and not even be completely cognitively impaired. For some reason, that doesn't happen with me. I don't know. I mean, it does when it's really, really, really extreme. But when we're talking about like the current situation, but I mean, then again, that was 10 kilos down the line. You do get that cognitive impaired. That I just remember being
But I've seen you
in that when,
function quite happily, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
From the outside looking in, Lauren, is like I've seen you over the years, going to trips around the world, and always had a smile on your face, a drink in your hand, out to restaurants with your family and things like that. And
oh
so
yeah,
even though from the outside it's like she's obviously struggling, there's something going on, it's you still had this smile on your face and you're jet setting and doing this other stuff. So
still
to be able
going. Yeah,
to do that is, like you've obviously inbuilt in you, Lauren, you've got the strongest mind, right? you know
I
you're
think there's
naturally
a
got that fighting thing inside you, right? Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it definitely ignites when the consultant goes to me, like, because I say to them, like, so for Eating Disorders Awareness Week, I've signed up to do a 10K swimathon, which is like 400 lengths of pool. I used to do swimming. I've got back in the pool like since last lockdown. It was the best thing I've ever done. Like, felt just the best feeling in the world. Like, it just made me feel so great and so alive again. And then Boris goes and shuts it down again, bastard. But
yeah.
anyway, so I was signed up to that for Eating Disorders Awareness Week, and it's just been like total crazy. I've lost my train of thought.
We're talking about your 4 weeks in admission, and
Oh, it's in
you
the
were clogged up.
oh yeah, no, so that was it, fired up. And so the consultant and the care guy was like, because you have these like critical care plan assessments or whatever every like couple of months that they're vile. And he's always like, I don't know why you don't like coming. I'm like, because you're like Satan, in the click of your fingers, you could lock me away. Why do you think I don't like coming? But so anyway, they were going on about me exercising. And like even
Right.
my mum was fighting my cause. She's like, no, I'm sorry, but like it's absolutely doing her the world of good to go and do these things. So you've got to think about quality of life. Like we're seeing her out of bed, dancing around, you're in the gym, outside, reconnecting with loads of people, doing some really positive work. So yeah. And they're like, you shouldn't be exercising it your way. Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, he's like, fine, we'll do it your way. He was like, prove me wrong. I was like, I fucking will prove you wrong. And that's
Yeah,
exactly
girl.
what I did. Like went back 2 weeks later and I'd gained 2 kilos. So I was like, right, stick with that in your pipe and smoke it. Like go
Yes,
away.
girl.
I will do it my own way. So yeah, I do have that fighting instinct that if someone says to me no, I go, well, watch me. But I mean, again, it was like that last hospital admission, my BMI was 8. I bounced back within 12 weeks,
Wow.
back up by 10 kilos. And he's like, I don't know how you've done this. I'm like, well, it's just what I do. I seem to just go from intensive care to like that. I do, even when I was in intensive care, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm in intensive care, this is scary. I'm like, I'm watching Gossip Girl. What is it that you want with me right now? Like,
Yeah,
seriously,
sorry,
I'm
mate.
not on
Yeah,
the
I'm trying to
phone.
crack
I'm
on
dealing
my
with my
Netflix
life. I've got
here.
like my friend on the phone, Netflix on the go, ice pop in my mouth. Like, come on, like, what's going on? They're like, you need to be in a wheelchair to go to the toilet. I was like, I'm not in a fucking wheelchair. I remember running down the wood. I was like, I can't run. I can't even run now. Like, doing my like personal training, we have to like star jump, and I was like, I can't actually jump. I was like seriously, kid, I'm like a fucking twiglet. Like something's gonna snap if I jump. Like this is not safe.
Well, we'll come to that actually, because that's something interesting. Because
Okay.
again, from the outside world, okay, like You know, I'm lucky because like my partner, she works in like mental health and care facilities.
Oh, I
She's
didn't know that. Oh, that's
Yeah, she's dealt
fantastic.
with all sorts of different pieces. I'm actually going to get her to come on and talk about it as well because she's got some
Yeah.
amazing stuff. She's worked at Orpheus Centre and all sorts of stuff. It's
Oh,
amazing what she's
wow.
done. And
Yeah.
from the outside point of view, right, and maybe for people who kind of don't understand it, um, when you're in like the hospital environment, you know, I think when I've spoken to people about it, they seem to have this preconceived idea that they're going to be giving you fucking Domino's pizzas and, you know, like, you know,
Oh my God, it
chained
couldn't
into a
be
chair, and
further from the truth.
you
Oh my
know,
God.
and like, you know the film Seven, you know, with Brad Pitt and
Yes, I
Morgan
do.
Freeman. There's that
The
guy that
the
they
head in
kill
the
him off.
box at the end. Yeah, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
want to
that's
talk about
gnarly, man.
that.
But you know, there's that
Oh my
gluttony one
God.
where they feed him until he dies. You know, you kind of
What
have this.
about what about Bruce Bogtrotter in Matilda? Like,
Oh,
I could definitely go for one of those chocolate fudge cakes right now. You set me off on a chocolate fudge cake day. I must go find a chocolate fudge cake now.
excellent, excellent.
He's Bruce, yeah, face in it. I'll have to send you a picture.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's, you know, you
Right, so
have this kind of thing of like where they just
no,
put you
God
on a
no.
conveyor belt or they put you in strips and
Okay,
stuff like that.
I always joke that basically the fat I used to call it fat camp, and I
Fat
always for
camp.
some reason, and I know it's bad, it's not fat camp, it's but that's what I call it. I get told off for it, but I for some reason it's always over Christmas. It's always like the November, December, January time. I don't know why, Nikki. They try and like ask me why, what is it about this time of year, and I genuinely don't know. However, so this whole idea of food, yeah, I always say like they're just feeding us up like turkeys for Christmas. Like basically, you maybe like you say about Domino's, because actually, when you are on the table and you're in the kitchen and you're having your meal being supervised with I mean, they call it a meal. I would call it trash, but they sat there and they freaking ordered like Friday night. They'd be ordering Domino's, like sitting at the table with us while we're eating our frozen corn burger and smash with one sachet of sauce. It gives you like that much and some soggy carrots, and they're eating like Domino's and Indians and like Chinese. And I'm like, what the fuck are you like? Are you kidding me right now? Because I love food. I'm like, yeah, I'll eat. I love food, but they don't give you food in there. They put you on like meal plans, so they're like stages. Do you have stage one, stage two, stage three, and stage four?
Yeah, so
Stage
talk us
one,
through those then. Yeah, tell us
okay,
what's the details of that. You know, what are they giving you?
basic. So basically, the one thing that is super dangerous, and especially this is really important actually, and I need to mention this on My Body, My Voice, when Jade comes on, a dietitian. There's a thing called refeeding syndrome. Now, this is lethal, and it is so like important to that this, and it's only been realized by my last admission how important it is, because if you go into refeeding syndrome, it's very unlikely that you're going to come out of it.
Right.
Basically your body goes into shock because you it's largely if people have just it's largely more prominent in people that have been diagnosed with anorexia, not anorexia binge post subtype, which is what I have been diagnosed with for the past 10 years.
Could you
um
explain the difference between the two, please?
Yeah, of course. So anorexia is diagnosed by critically low weight, because they have weight margins. Anything below 18 is unhealthy. Anything from 17.5, you are classed as anorexic. 15, you are moderate anorexia. Anything below 13.5, and anything 13.5, you're critical anorexia, and anything below 13.5, you're basically dead. And mine was 8, so that can give you a scope of things. Um, but so the different stages, no, the difference between anorexia nervosa is that anorexia nervosa is purely restrictive eating, and it's largely exercise based, and people obsession with exercise. And the difference between that and anorexia binge subtype is purging. So it's whether you can abuse laxatives, or whether you purge, or whether you have sessions where you eat but you think you've eaten too much, but you've actually not eaten like what they will class as a binge, because there is an eating disorder called binge eating disorder, and that is eating a prolific amount of food And obviously you've got bulimia, which is basically you eat that amount of food and you spend hours, purging it all back up again. My eating disorder has gone through every avenue that an eating disorder can go down. It's gone from laxative abuse, which started that year in Brighton. It's gone from complete starvation to consistent exercise, back to starvation again, then to binge eating disorder, then to binge eating disorder and starvation, which is the time I was after the gap year. I went back to Brighton and was in this like 8-bedded house. It was like you're living in like a bed sit, knew no one. We were already been 8 hours a week, nothing. I just got so unwell. I ended up, it culminated in me having these periods where I would binge, but then I would like lock myself away, give my room, like housemate and the flat next to me my purse. Hang on a minute, I just need to go in. Oh no, here we are. My phone's gonna die.
Don't die on me. Don't die on me.
I've got Daddy's magic study wire. I'm just wondering how this is gonna stand up. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Where have you gone? Oh, bollocks. There you are. I can't do it. I might have to turn it that way. Come on, wire. Wire. It's just not happening. It's not happening. I'm getting my iPad out of the way. Hang on a minute. Where are we? It's fucking wire. I might just have to hold it. Let me get up. There we are. Oh, there we are. Oh no. What's going on?
Don't leave me.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
That's better. Fucking wire. To where was I? So from that to like locking myself away, and I had this diary, and I would write in it like what my weight was and what it was like on like the third day, and I'd like sit there, and it's like this thing takes over you, and I was like, I'd go for like 3 days. I remember reading the entire trilogy of the Twilight books while I was deflating my stomach, and it was insane just to think about now. Just like gets to me just to think what I think. One thing I do is I forget what's happened each time, so that I don't actually connect with it, because I think I'm connected with that pain. It would just be insane. So that was really, I was going through this awful like binge stage where I would end up going and buying a shitload of like sugar, just like sugar stuff from like Waitrose, and I'd go and eat it, but then I would be like so bloated and so uncomfortable afterwards from eating, because I've like starved myself, that I'd have to then do it again. And I got so unwell that I remember once being up at like 5 a.m. and I was just like wandering like through Brighton, waiting until like the shop was open so I could go and buy sugar to like, and it's like this thing that possesses your mind. But anyway, so that ended up one day in me like slicing my leg open to just relieve this pain, and that was just the last straw. So my friend who was living next door like rang my parents, and they took me home. And again, they had tried to take me home the term before, because my weight had dropped again, and they were like, we're not leaving. But I was like, well, I'm not coming home, so you can stand outside my door and tell me that you've come to take me home, but I'm not coming with you. So
fucking hell. So what, you cut your leg in a self-harming kind of way?
Yeah, so that was that. So I mean, do you want me to be really candid? Because I can like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I want you to as much as you're comfortable with, Lauren.
Yeah, I just don't want to cause any like concerns or problems for you, because it's going to get quite dark. Oh shit.
Well, that's
if you're comfortable with that, I'm comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with whatever you're comfortable with, man. I want you to.
As you can see, I am spilling my ice pop on my dad's work, and he's going to come in. Oh shit. Oh my god.
This is so classic you. I love it.
Oh my god. Seriously, hang on a minute.
I've got chaos everywhere.
Oh my god. Seriously, it was like we've got like ice pops dropping everywhere. Oh, you total idiot. One sec. I am with you. I'm just gonna have to put this ice pop in my safe and put it in my dad's empty cup. No, he's got all his files and I've just spent orange clipper over them. Shit. Hang on a minute, I'll be back. Because I'm in the study, I should have stayed in my own room. Oh my god, everywhere's orange. Like the white. Every bloody orange. I get told
Oh
off.
my God. I
He's gonna
swear it's
come
like being back
home.
at college.
I know he's gonna come home and he's gonna be like, "Why is my study orange?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. Why is your study orange? I've not been in it. Have anybody been in the study? I don't know." But yeah. So anyway, back on track. I've got the caliper in my dad's coffee mug, so that will stay there for now. So yeah. So anyway, that was just the beginning of what was to become an absolute fucking, sorry, I shouldn't swear.
No, you can swear. It's
Absolute
cool. We're all adults.
what I wish I was an adult. I'd like to think that. I know on the outside we look like we're adults, but I don't think I've transitioned into that yet. I
I haven't.
definitely find myself like someday thinking, well, I like sticker books, and can I have some crayons like for my colouring book maybe?
That's the
Like
great thing about
seriously,
having kids. You can still play with toys, and no one thinks it's weird.
that is such a cool thing, and you can get super excited about Christmas.
Oh my God! Oh, don't get me started on Christmas. I fucking love
Super.
Christmas.
Right, wait, right, yes, I can go pretty.
I want. Well,
Yeah,
let's do it. I'm wed. I'm like.
you're wedgie. I'm
Yeah.
terrifying. Fucking no, it's not happening. I'm just gonna have to hold it up like that or something. So home,
My
and then
opinion of it all is the more that you're comfortable with telling, um the more reality we can tell people and give people an understanding about really what it is. This is not like one thing I'm fucking sick of in this world is that you get people like fucking Kim Kardashian going, "Oh yeah, we should be really, we should watch out for mental health and eating
oh, it's
disorders and stuff."
bullshit.
I'm like,
And then
"Fuck off,
I
man."
literally, there was an episode because I was watching it very tragically, like in lockdown, and the sisters were like, "Oh, Kim, you've gone really skinny. You look anorexic." And she was like, "Oh, thanks, guys." And I was like, "You fucking, that's not anorexia." Oh,
Yeah, that stuff fucking boils my piss, man. And with kind of people doing that, um, you know, I don't know, like I can't
no, I
think
know
of
what you're
where to
saying.
start with it. Just people thinking it's like a
How
thing.
rude! Someone's called. Give me a sec. One sec. Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, I got a no. I got a withheld number call. I never answered it right, but I'm waiting for breaks to call me back because they like owe me 70 quid. So I thought it might be them. It wasn't. It was the eating disorder service booking an appointment. I was like, that's nice. I'm on a podcast. Can you leave me alone? No, but yeah, you are so right. There is this just misconception that it's like people looking in magazines and wanting to be skinny, and it's like it's not. It's absolutely. If there's one thing I've learned, it's absolutely fuck all to do with weight. It really is nothing. That's just like the consequence of the illness of the mind. It's a mental illness. It's not a physical illness. But like I said, in the longer it goes on, the more extreme it becomes, the more entrenched you are in it, the harder it is to actually see the other side or reach the other side without dying. Um, and it's so important that people understand that it's not just, and it's not just affecting females, it affects men as well, like men get eating disorders, but it's just not spoken about. Like it's insane. Like there's a guy that I know who's an ambassador for Beat that we actually had on a BIM panel, and he was also a musician and like creative. He's got his own like record label and does like animation for something, but he was never in hospital, so it was never severe enough, but or any sort of severe, but he struggled and is now a male ambassador, pardon my burping, for Beat. So yeah, so that's another thing, because I think there's a shame in it. People think they it's like a secretive disease, like, and it's embarrassing, and that it's like you're judged for it. And in essential, you are, because people go, "Oh my god, like you're so thin." Like I've had so many. I remember being in like Euro Disney with my friend. Again, a friend that we were in hospital because we booked it while we were in hospital, and the friend just so fucking rude. They just like point at you and stare and like go up. And I
Yeah.
remember like walking around Santiago because my sister had gone from Australia and she just decided, she does these weird things. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to walk the last 100k of the the Santiago Camino del Santiago or
Oh yeah,
something."
the walk in Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like, so we went to surprise her in Santiago, but it ended up in, we couldn't surprise her because my mum was like, "It's actually bigger than we think it is, so we might just miss her all entirely, so we're gonna have to tell her." And we walk around Santiago all day, and the amount of people, And I just gave up. I was like, in the end, it used to bother me, but it just does not faze me. I'm like, if you, I was like mad, like saying I could like hand out signed pictures, and I was like, would you like a signature? It really, like, it's something that just doesn't faze me anymore. But it's like people think that, oh, it's just someone not eating and someone just wanting to be thin. It's not that at all. People, anorexic people do eat. You can't survive without not eating. They're very restrictive. They're very um focused on exercise and burning the calories. They're very agitated. They can't, the immediate, the idea of food has people crying over cornflakes, has people having fits over a piece of bread. Like, these things happen, and it's cognitive impairment, and it's the starvation effect on your body, that your mindset changes, and you become addicted to this destructive illness that has gone into their minds and has possessed their bodies. And basically it's using that person's body as apparatus for its whatever activities it wants to engage in, which is with purely anorexia, it does largely mean exercise and restrictive dieting, where the anorexia nervosa binge purge subtype is that you have purging episodes, which is what I suffer with, and which is why, like, I have the whitest teeth in the UK, because I now have full dental implants, both top and bottom, because my teeth got so damaged from it that it was just like my front tooth fell out. Like, it's crazy.
Right, let's talk about that for a second, because that's something,
Okay.
again, it's just something you don't comprehend, because again, from the outside of thing, and there's a couple of things that resonated with me, which I'll do that first, and then I'll come to this teeth thing, because being a frontman of a rock band, as a male, right, and I like wearing makeup, I like that,
You look good in makeup.
thank you, babe. I'm happy being a white straight male, but like, I love wearing makeup, even in the rock world now, that's kind of, some people still look at you like you're weird. It's like, dude, you're 34, don't wear fucking makeup. It's like, I like wearing makeup, man, and
And
things. And I'm now really heavy again.
no one has the right to tell you what to do or what to wear or what size to
Well,
be, or
it's
this
funny
is
because,
so
like,
wrong.
in 2017 and 2018, I got like my act together and got into shape, and I finally managed to get back to being what I thought was thin and good looking, like I was in college, and
I love it.
you
I'm
know
so good looking.
no,
I'm
I
joking. Of
wasn't
course
so good
you
in, but
are.
I say
I'm so good
I love
looking.
how
I
you pull me out
loved
on
it.
that.
Love it. I remember this picture on a Halloween night, and we were starting this. We like met you, and we bumped into you at like the top of Churchill Square.
Yeah.
Absolutely hammered. There's like this picture of me on the floor, like legs swung around like a lamppost, and then there's a picture of me, you, and Steph, and another guy, like all with our like legs up in the air.
Oh
Like,
my god.
I'll have to send you the picture.
You
I
got to
think we
send
just
me this
bumped
stuff,
into
man.
you. I will. It's on Facebook. I'll have to unprivate it, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely there.
Send it to me.
I
Screenshot it. I'll
will.
save the
I
picture and send it
absolutely
to you.
will. Definitely.
But I started
But
after.
anyway, yeah, but no one has the right to do that.
No, they don't, and I'm still really conscious of it now, which is why I think that's just why I'm so glad to be talking to you about it, because
Yeah.
people, and I wrote a song about it, on my last record, because even some of my friends, they're like, I don't know anyone that gets pointed out about how they look or their weight as you do as a male. And
Really?
yeah, and it's one of those things where even when in interviews, and this is the point of it, is because someone in a magazine wrote about me putting on weight in a
You're
like comment.
joking.
No, like, and this was like end of 20.
Why?
This was at the end of 2018, right? So beginning of 2018, we released our second record, Deadhead, and we went on tour and everything like that. There's some shots of me, and in some of it, I'm like, I do look a bit too thin, and things like that. But I just thought I was healthy and in, vegan diet, training 3-4 times a week and everything like that. And you do get obsessed with it. You absolutely do, And when I went on tour, I started having cheese again. You know,
Cheese is great. I live off cheese. I
I
love
know,
cheese.
yeah, I'm a cheegan really,
Cheese is the best.
and yeah, cheese is great.
What are you
So
doing? You got me on cheese and chocolate fudge cake now. I'm
cheese
like
in a
going downstairs.
cheesecake,
Mom, I
chocolate
want
cheesecake.
chocolate. Oh my god, please stop. Yeah.
I'll get one
But like,
sent to you.
mommy, I want chocolate fudge cake and cheese.
I'll get one mailed to you, man. And
Amazing. Oh.
yeah, so you got this like thing where people would then go, on that tour, some people commented like, because I talk a lot about male mental health. That's where, that's why I think predominantly my fan base is male, because I speak a lot from like trying to stand up for men's rights on this type of stuff as well, right?
100%. This is so important. It doesn't matter what area. It just needs
Yeah,
to be.
totally.
It needs to be
So
heard. You know?
yeah, absolutely. So I have that kind of thing, and I'm proud to kind of be doing that,
It's not.
and
It's not bad. Mental health isn't biased as only for females. Like it affects men.
yeah,
Just as
and
much
that's
as it
another
does
thing,
women. As do
especially
eating
with like,
disorders.
yeah, especially with like
I'm just
the looks and the
gobsmacked
weight.
that a magazine in today's society, 2018, with the awareness that the world has at 2018, you can't remark on someone's appearance when it's for something that is nothing. You're not walking down a catwalk. You are doing what your passion and what your journey is. You're doing your music, and you should be judged about your music. You should certainly never be judged on, written about your body, or whether you're wearing makeup, or what your body size may or may not be. Things like that. It's just these tiny little comments that people can say. It's like my primary school head teacher, when I gone back after I had an ovarian cyst when I was 9. It's a very long story, I won't go into it. But she said to me when I went back, she was like, "Oh my, you have put weight on." And it's just these little things that you don't think of in the moment, that could have an impact on someone so far down the line,
Yeah,
that you just don't think. So people like writing remarks like this need to be so aware that you need to be careful with the way you say things, the way you present things, the words you use. There
yeah,
is a way of approaching something that is, yeah, probably, a certain remark. There are two ways of approaching it. You can approach it with kindness and nurturing, or you can just be a shit. And it's always better to be open and be kind and use your words carefully, because you can learn so much from other people if you choose to use the right language and the right approach, and not condemn people and not put people down when there's absolutely no need for it. We're all human beings. We're all equal. I
yeah,
don't think Elton John's much more superior than you are. He goes on and does what he does. No one remarks on him. Like,
absolutely.
and he had bulimia, no
Yeah,
one stands, in the music industry and condemns Elton John because he, might be fat and has bulimia. Like, it's not, it's so, it just frustrates me, because it's so, it takes a second to say, "Are you okay?" or "How are you?" But people just shut people down, and that's what really pisses me off.
well,
And
the
the
most
fact that
common thing
someone's
happens
done
to
that
me
to
is,
you is awful.
yeah, well, the most thing that happens to me, and it happened a lot when I did start maybe losing control, and since then I've been like putting on weight consistently, and I can't stop it. I'm in like a reverse thing where like I just can't stop putting on weight. And I know a lot of it's because I went to the doctor about the beginning of this month, because I was actually starting to get worried about it,
Have
and
they checked your thyroid?
yes, but it turns out it's actually because of the medication I'm on for mental health.
Oh, okay.
I'm on a large dose of sertraline of 100 milligrams a day.
Ooh,
And
I tried that. It didn't work for me.
right, see the
Who
others.
we
So
can be pill buddies. I rattle when I walk, right? I rattle like literally
so
all the night as well. I'm like, well, hey, how much of this can I have? Like, they give me like a load of Valium, and I'm like, I've got like boxes, like, I don't use all of it, and they're like, it's like PRN. I'm like, fucking like, so if I need knocking out, I'm like, all right, juggle that down. Yeah, sorry, that's really bad. Don't do that.
don't
Very
do that.
bad.
Don't do
Don't
that. Don't do that.
do not medicate yourself. Do not do that.
No, and I went through all of that, drinking and partying and all that stuff, and that's just part of thinking,
Who
especially
doesn't?
in
Like,
Brighton,
who doesn't? Exactly. Like, Brighton's
especially.
so metropolitan. We had a wild time those
And
years.
it's not the same place as it was. I moved.
It's
I'm obviously
not.
I've moved from there, and it's just not a happy place anymore. But when we
It's
were
not, is
there,
it?
It's not.
I thought that was just me. I thought, okay, maybe this is just me. It doesn't have the warmth that it had when I first moved down.
Brighton looks dark and grey to me now when I see it.
Yeah,
Like,
I went down just before the second lockdown kicked in. And it was, I mean, it was great because I got to see Angelique and I got to see Dom and I got to see Lucy and I got to see Soph, and it was great. But it was the first time I left where I didn't cry, because every time I visited back, I cried when I left and I could never figure out why. But then when I got down there this time, I was like, I actually don't think I could live here anymore. I don't think, it was like letting go of that era that I'd never really had closure on.
yeah,
If that makes
that
any
happened
sense.
to me last year. That
Yeah.
exact thing happened to me last year. When I left it, it was like, you know, I looking over my shoulder and going, "I'll see you later, Brian." You know,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. People don't get it. It's a very special place in the UK, Brighton.
Yeah,
And
it is.
especially if you're a creative or a musician, like, or an
It's
artist,
brilliant. Yeah.
it captures your heart. And I'm lucky
Yeah.
because my mum's originally from Brighton, even though
Oh, is
I'm
she?
born in Jersey and stuff. You know, so
Oh, I
have
didn't
like,
know that.
yeah, right. So, you know, I
Where
have
is
like,
Jersey? Right, your teacher moment. I'm gonna be really bad into here. So there's this advert that keeps coming on my Hey You, because yeah, I know it's dreadful, but I'm watching The Bachelor at the moment. Forgive me. Honestly, I cower in shame because it is so bad. It's so bad.
don't be
But
silly.
it's so good. But this advert keeps coming about the Real Housewives of Jersey, and I'm like, where the? But they sound English, and I'm like, am I being thick? Where's Jersey?
There's
And
two
like,
jerseys.
oh, well, don't tell me that. Now you're
There's
complicating
there's
things.
the original beautiful Channel Island jersey.
Right,
It's
okay, it's one of them.
situated about 160, 200 miles south of the
Bloody hell.
UK. It's
You know
like 14,
details.
15 miles from France. It's in like this little cubby hole where, like, near to St. Malo, you know, and it's beautiful. You know, it's like the best of English and the best of French, like, combined, you know, and it's
Amazing.
absolutely stunning place. Some of the people there are a bit weird and they're very judgmental, bubble mentality.
Yeah.
But like, when I was growing up, I wasn't very accepted at all, you know. And when I
Really annoys
moved, it
me.
was like this massive weight on my shoulders. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're talking too much about Mead, you know.
Not at all.
But then you have New Jersey, in, you know, next to New York and all that lot, and New York, New Jersey, the namesake is from Jersey in the Channel Islands. That's where it comes from. So
Yeah, because there's
people,
the Real Housewives of New Jersey and there's the Real Housewives of Jersey.
oh, there's two.
Yeah,
They've
I
got a
know.
Real Housewives of Jersey. God, that would be
I
boring.
know. It's like I haven't even dared to watch the Real Housewives of Cheshire. They were filming in my gym, the country club we were at like a couple of years ago, and we had to like evacuate the gym because like the Cheshire Housewives were coming
Oh
in to
God.
film. I was like, even when we go out now, like personally, my personal trainer Kim, she trains some of them, and she's like, "Oh, we'll just go do this." And like, I'm really not hanging out with like wags, please. Like, it's just
Oh
not
God. Yeah.
happening.
No.
Like,
No
ugh,
thanks,
couldn't think
man.
of anything worse.
Yeah.
They're so plastic. Like they
Oh,
just
I hate
come
all
into
that
all
shit.
like
Hate
it's
it,
like
man.
no, literally when you like I was in one of the bars where I was at in the Old Weird, and a bunch of like, women came in, and they were definitely like, I don't want to say mutton dressed as lamb because I have just spoken about using words correctly. So these are people that were dressed younger than their years,
Right.
and they were basically, their dress was encompassing their big busts incorrectly, and everything was trout pout and plastic, and it was scary because previously I'd been to Lizzie. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get Botox, really worried about wrinkles, and I think I need my top lip doing. And she's like having a go at me, and then they walk in, and I was like, that's a sign from God. Do not ever go near plastic surgery.
You don't need plastic surgery, man. You don't need
No, but
that shit.
it's scary. It's like,
But there's
dear
pressure
me,
for it, right?
but
There's pressure
people,
for it.
yeah, but that's what I mean. But then, like the generation, like growing up, seeing all this, like we didn't have this when we were younger.
No.
Everyone's grown up because do you know what I found out? And this was my last hospital mission because the nurse was going mental about it. So, and I don't know whether did your kid go to school? Is he at school yet?
Yeah. I've got Amelia, who's like my stepdaughter from
Oh
my
wow.
partner's first relationship. So she's 9. She's going to be 10 this year, and she's like in year
Oh
5 at the
wow.
moment. Yeah.
So they weigh kids in school now. They weigh you in reception, and then they weigh you in year 3, and then they weigh you in year 6. They weigh kids. And then they send letters home to tell you that your kids are overweight when they've weighed them in their kickers. The fact they like, what is that about? And I came across this account on Instagram yesterday, and it really pissed me off because I was like, you can have like you have people sadistic have these like pro Anna websites, which is so wrong in every shape form. This was total opposite. This was saying all this stuff about being fat was the way forward, that you can't shame, like fat shame, you shouldn't do this, all children should be allowed to be fat and all this other stuff. And I was like, no, that's not healthy either. Neither extreme is healthy. You shouldn't be encouraging anything but health. And this woman was just going on about she was a big fat Jewish lesbian, and she had fat children and she wouldn't make. And I'm just thinking, you're putting this out into the world. People, I mean, I'm not quite sure. Like, I certainly don't agree that either is healthy. Like, healthy is,
I think
within
what should be
whatever range they
promoted is
say.
people being healthy. I don't
Yeah.
think you should concentrate on
The
saying
weight.
that
Yeah.
either low weight or high weight is acceptable. It's like it should be acceptable
It
in terms
shouldn't.
of managing it, but it shouldn't be acceptable in terms of it being classed as healthy. That is wrong. That
Your
without a
body
doubt is wrong.
shape, your body shape should never be taken into account unless there's a medical like emergency like need that you, I don't know, are about to die or whatever. But that should not come into factor. But I mean, I don't know about other people, but when I interact with other people, when I speak with my friends, when I whatever see people in the street, I do not like their weight doesn't even cross my mind. Like
See,
I'm
I've
not.
got a real issue with
I
that.
don't really.
Yeah, I got a thing with that where whenever I'm being looked at, I always think someone's going, "That guy's fat." Like it's like drilled into my head now. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm really struggling. I talk about it all the time with my partner,
Yeah.
and even though she loves me, and all that stuff, there's still something in my brain that's going, "You're too fucking fat, mate. You're too
That's
fucking fat.
because
You can't
you've
be in a rock
developed
band. You can't do
that
a
schema.
podcast. Yeah, you can't do all this shit because
Who's told you that?
you're a fat guy. Do you know what I mean? And
But where have you got that from? Who's told you that?
well, it just comes from it comes from small things, like there's a 2% here and 2% there, but what people don't realize is that if you collect 52%, that's going to be 100 at some point, or whatever, so
That's basically I don't know whether your girlfriend has spoken to us, but that is you've developed that schema. So basically you've developed all these negative core beliefs about yourself because you've pulled them up from different periods in your life. That's what I've done. It's been tiny little things. It's not been one momentous boom. It's been bits and pieces. And you are right. The more that happens, the more it gets ingrained into you, and that becomes your core belief that you are fat and you are not good enough and you are not worthy, and people are staring at you and they're thinking bad things, and you are disgusting and you're embarrassing and you're too fat and you're too ugly, you can't do these things. This is not the truth. This is all your mind. This is something that has been built up inside of you internally, even like down to your soul, because people have made remarks or been ignorant and said stuff that was not true in any way, shape or form, but then has lent that onto you believing that, which is awful for me to think about, because I just think that's just such a horrible thing for you, who is such a wonderful person, to have to be feeling that way. That's just, that doesn't make sense. I mean, you should definitely you should never have to feel that way, and I hope that you can kind of
I'm trying. Like, it's hard,
understand. Yeah,
because like it's little
incredibly
things
difficult.
like,
it's very brave and courageous to even speak about it.
Yeah, thank you, man. And obviously likewise, it's just a weird thing because like you go to a show, or I was doing a lot of tour managing and stuff as well, and of course, as you're doing tour managing work, people are going to those shows are still fans of me or whatever, like, and they'd be like, "Oh, Nikki, quick picture and stuff," yeah, but of course you don't look rock, you're in like tour manager hoodie and all that stuff, again, me
Nothing wrong with a good hoodie,
right? But subconsciously there's something in my brain telling me like there's something there, and like someone would go like, "Christ, you're putting on some timber," and then rub my stomach.
What?
And I'll be like, and then like I remember being on
you see, they would never say that to a woman.
you know, well, you know, this is another thing, right?
Or
You know,
would
so
they?
the last gig I played was Planet Rockstock. You know, it's like 2 or 3 thousand, maybe more, a couple of thousand people in this big like arena thing,
Wow. Yeah.
which was a fucking great show. But and it's cool
Yeah.
that was my last show. But that was like there was like this time. In fact, it was this weekend coming a year ago. You
Oh
know,
my God.
and
Way before global pandemic and
yeah, it
like
was
the
the last thing
creative
before
industry
that.
is fucked.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, and you know, I
Oh my
look at it
God.
and I'm like a fucking size of a house, you know, and that's the first thing of it getting out of control. And I remember right afterwards, you know, doing autographs and, you know, pictures and stuff. And someone was like, because I changed out of my sweaty, you know, gig clothes into this. I had a Justin Bieber vest top on
Oh my God.
and
No,
this
you
like cloak
didn't.
thing, because if I get, you know, it's like if you get cold after a
Ah,
show, you're gonna get ill and stuff. So
yeah.
like get all warm and stuff like that. And then someone went, you got a Justin Bieber hoodie on? I went, yeah, I love fucking Bieber. So I went like that. And then someone went, fucking hell, you put on some weight. Just like that, you know? And, you know, and, or people like, you know, they do things like what happens to me all the time, you know, where it's like, I just don't want people touching me. It sounds a bit weird, but,
No, I get it. I
you know,
get it
like middle-aged
entirely.
and middle-aged
Yeah.
upwards women will, you know, they come up to you and they're like, squeeze your love handle or your bum,
Oh,
or they stick their hand up your back, you know, and you're like there and they're like, oh, you're right, babe, that was a great show. And I'm like,
ew.
if I went
Get
up to
off.
a chick, right, and put my
You'd be thinking of
hand up
sexual
her
harassment them.
back,
I'd freaking
you know,
snap
and
that
then like
hand off straight away.
it would be like, dude, that's like fucking like, you know,
It is.
you're in court for that shit, you know.
Yeah.
So in the rock world it's bizarre that like
That's
it's
not
almost,
okay.
you
But
know,
it's not.
yeah, you know,
It's
we're
almost
not,
accepted. Like you can joke around about it, can't you? If you're male, it's seen as kind of like just jovial intent, but it's not. It's no one has the right to remark on anybody's appearance, even if they come dressed in a bin bag. Like
yeah.
it pisses me off. People
I'm
that
all up
think
for a
they're
hug. I love giving someone a big old hug. You
yeah.
know, like, yo, thank you so much. You know, like, oh, dude, that was
I
a great
will
show.
never
Yeah,
ever like
give a
take
hug
for
like that.
granted. Will you ever take for granted giving hugs ever again?
No,
No.
I can't wait
I
to hug my
literally, I
fellow
can't.
man and women.
I know it's like insane. Like I'm like me and my best friend are always trying to hug each other, and I'm like, go on, let me hug you. And she's like, no. It's like fuck's sake, like it's
I
insane.
know.
I'm used to like snuggling with everybody, and it's like no one can hug each other. Like everyone's
Yeah.
got to do bugger all. But anyway, but yeah,
We
it's just
digressed.
so
We
we did.
digressed onto me. We should be talking. Let's talk about your
No,
teeth. You
oh
know,
yeah.
this is an interesting
So
thing. So what's happened there? How did that get caused?
um, by purging. So I went through a really like what made my weight drop dramatically and from my first hospital admission was I was having these really bad episodes of binge eating to the point where they like my dad and my parents had to lock like the garage door and they take it with them, so I couldn't get into the garage, which means I couldn't really access any like much food or anything during the day, so I wouldn't binge and I wouldn't end up in the situations which I'll tell you about in a minute. So I was going through these really bad episodes and I was just, feeling like I was just ballooning. I just couldn't stop. I ended up, when this was my room, it's not anymore. I'm in the massive room now, as only a princess can be. But I so I used to like I would be so bad that it would be like my head was on fire. I was rolling around the floor, screaming, crying. I was not sleeping in my bed. I was on the floor. I couldn't sleep in bed. I couldn't have the fat. I couldn't feel it underneath me. I moved my 4-door wardrobe across the door and locked myself in. Like these are all like I fucking brought like a fucking bucket for when I wanted to pee. Like, but then I gave up on that and pushed it back. But like these really intense things were happening, and I wasn't going anywhere. It was really intense, and then it was just one day, I just bent over, and it all just came out, like literally. I have never, nor will I ever, put anything down my throat. I don't know what I've never researched into areas or had conversations with people who suffer bulimia about how they choose or how they go about their purging, whatever, because it's so wrong. The scary thing with me is I just bend over and it's just everything comes out. So my weight dropped dramatically, very, very quickly at that point. So I got, funnily enough, at a higher weight than I'm at now. I got admitted to hospital for my first admission, which lasted about 4 months. And
Do you mind
then,
me asking how much you weigh right now, Lauren?
no, that's fine. I am 28, 36 kilos right now,
Right.
which is like a BMI of 13. So I was 28, and now 36, probably about 37 now, haven't it? You've gone. Oh, there you are. So yeah,
Good on you, girl. You're doing well, man.
so that was really intense, and that happened. But then they were always going on about, oh, we need to try medication. And I'm like, I don't want medication. I don't want to be numb to something. Because I don't, I just don't think that's really like a good thing to do. I eventually agreed to try this thing called fluoxetine. Oh my God. It on my medical file now, whether it's at the hospitals or wherever, there's big red markings. Allergic. Do not administer fluoxetine at any cost. Fluoxetine. I don't fully remember, but I got put on this, and I remember my parents went to pick my sister up from the airport because she was coming home from Sydney for a visit. And when they got back, I had sliced myself open from my hip to my like toes on both my legs, front and back, and I was just sitting in a pool of blood on this floor here. Well, not this floor because it's been redone, but I was just sat encompassed with like blood all around me, just literally catatonic. The pain of that, the healing, the pain, just even putting water on, I can't even describe. The next, a few days later, my dad came in from work and I was sat there like catatonic with 2 wine glasses crushed in my hands. I had to have a load of stitches. And then the final time, which is when my parents were like, we need to like stop this right now, which is when I got a new consultant. I sliced my entire back open, and they took a picture of it and they went to my consultant and they were like, look, this is like, something is wrong, this is just started happening. And he was like, he took me off his medication straight away, and I was like, it stopped immediately. So then I was very anti any medication whatsoever.
Fucking hell.
Until I got put on something called amitriptyline for migraines, because I got really bad migraines.
I know amitriptyline.
Yeah, so it's like the most potent like antidepressant, and they don't give it out anymore because of how potent it is. And it would be the one that worked for me, wouldn't it? They start you off on like 10 milligrams because it's so strong.
Yeah.
It knocked me out for 48 hours. I was having these lucid dreams. I was physically, like I'm talking to you now, we were present. Something was in me and was throwing me around the room. I couldn't wake up. Like I'd be screaming. My parents would have to come in. Like I was being thrown around, and it was so scary. But after like 3 months, that had settled down, and then I'm now on a much higher dose. But they had me on a ridiculously high dose at once, but that was in Glasgow when they just tried to just medicate you out of the hospital. But yeah, so that's how I ended up on medication, and that's why I don't think the medication is a great thing. I think that you do need to be able to have to feel that pain in order to get through to the other side. As I was discussing with Isabel just this morning, we came to a bit of a profound moment when my heart started like pumping. So I was like, she actually makes sense. She's like, what is stopping you from fully letting go? And I'm like, because I'm not sure what is it that I'm going. I'm not sure where it is I'm going, because it wasn't like I was a healthy weight to begin with, and I just need to return that way like a lot of other people. There's like there isn't a set identity. It's like what I don't know what I'm returning to, so how can I let go? So at the moment it's all a bit of a fuzzy kind of thing at the moment. But hospital admissions, yeah, and the first one was definitely, I mean, a lot of them are idiots, and they just power loving, thinking about God's gift to the world, and they're only fucking HAs. They just, they just treat you like dirt the way they talk to you, and like idiots. And some of them just drag me. I used to get ballistic, not because they're talking to me bad, because the way they were treating other people, I was just not standing for it
Just really
whatsoever.
condescending and patronizing.
Oh, really bad. Like I
Yeah.
should be like wagging their fingers and all that. I was just having none of it.
Yeah, fuckers.
But anyway, that was like the first, and then like I got really, really unwell again before this was before the last admission. So I got really unwell. My BMI dropped to like I think it was about 9 or 9.5 or something like that. And I got
Jesus.
there was no beds available in the UK. So they were like, right, well, my parents were with me, and my mum was fucking when she gets going, she's like a dragon. Like she just doesn't stop. And she was adamant. Like when she came out with this, I thought, you know what, I'm never, ever, ever gonna forgive you for this. And I don't think I still have. So they were like, there's nothing like we obviously we can't put you in class on Oak Trees because you're not there are no beds. There's no beds anywhere. So what we can do, we can put you in a medical hospital, but we can't get a member of staff to there with you. Or you can just come here every day and we'll just monitor you. So I was like, yeah, that'll do me. Like, I won't go anywhere. I'll have that. And I'd managed to talk my dad around, so that was okay. And then my mum came back in the room and she'd written this massive, big, like, long letter about how she would hold them responsible and all this. And she announced that she'd found a bed in Glasgow, at which point my mouth dropped to the floor and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And on New Year's Day, I was admitted to Glasgow Priory. And that has been documented on Channel 4. And like one of my friends actually had an article printed in the Independent on the abuse of that place. Is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Like there was this one HCA, is the healthcare assistant, who was like the Trunchbull out of Matilda. And she was vicious. And there was this little old lady called Paula who had struggled with an eating disorder since the age of 12. So she'd never developed and she'd never had certain things like, for example, she had some time out one day and I was allowed to have time out. So she asked if she could come with me. And I was like, of course, yeah. And she's like, I said, we can, what do you want to do? You want to go cinema? Do you want to like go shopping? Like, do you want to go? You know, I couldn't take lunch because she wasn't confident to eat out. Which, you know, it was just normal for people. So, and she said she'd never been to cinema and she'd never been in a shop. So we did that. And she was like, the little thing was holding my hand and like thanking me for all this stuff. And I'm like, how, like, this is stuff that I take for granted. That like, I just get that people have friends and people do this, but actually, like, a lot of people with eating disorders, and this is something my therapist always says to me, like, oh, I think it's marvelous how you've like kept all your friends. And I was like, I've always thought, well, why wouldn't I don't understand why. And they're like 99% of people think do not like are so isolated, and I'm like, yeah, that's not me. But it is, in a way, it was, because I do have those moments. But so Paula, poor thing, she like the kitchen has phoned up and said they found a flake of fish under a chair. So Anne Marie, the principal, marches down to her room because it's like a hotel, so you've got your own ensuite and big double bed and all that. So the room's nice. That's the only bearable part. Barged in without even like knocking or anything. Couldn't see her in the room. Just swung open a bathroom door. The shower curtain was pulled, so obviously, and the shower was going. So she was in the shower. She ripped back the shower curtain and started screaming at her while this little thing, butt naked, like screaming at her about a flake of fish on the wall. And I'm like, you're gonna like, are you actually kidding me? And then the consultant gave up on her and said at a BMI of 11 she was to be put on a flight to go home. I was like, but you're sending her to die. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not okay. Like, it's so. I mean, the diversity of the people that I've met is insane. But the actual the people who treat illness, it's very rare that you get. I mean, I do. Although I call him Satan, I am lucky with my consultant in that he will work with me. Although he says
And
to
that's
me,
what their
"You
job
have
is, right? They're supposed to
well,
work with you, not against you, or
yeah, that's
on
not
your
always.
behalf. You know,
No,
it's
that's
a
not
team
always.
effort. You know, but
No, they basically a lot of people just look at diagnostic criteria and just could not give a fuck. Um, there are, I mean, there obviously there are doctors that are caring, but again, it's their job, you know. But he's always said to me, you have a way of like expressing yourself, so like you know, you get me to like agree to what you want. And I'm like, are you calling like me manipulative? I'm like, I'm not. He was like, no, I don't mean like that. He's just like, you just can present yourself. I was like, well, I don't know what you mean by that. Like, I'm not
that's
fit.
that's the singer in you, man.
I know, right? Like
Come on,
smoking mirrors,
commanding
mate.
the
Yeah,
stage, right?
exactly. I like that. That's what I'll say next time. I'm commanding the stage. I
Yeah.
do actually do that. I walk in, I'm like, no, I'll do the talking. Thank you very much. But yeah, well, exactly. It has to be that way, otherwise nothing gets done. So yeah, it's and it's insane, some of the treatment. It's crazy, but you just think it's worrying when you get three friends committing extreme suicides, and especially the first one. I will never ever forgive myself, even though obviously I have realized it's not my fault, but I was supposed to be seeing Hannah that very night, but because I'd had a huge argument with my arrogant sister, I'd ended up really upset. And she'd like, I said to Hannah, can we do tomorrow? And she's like, that's fine, because my parents are coming tonight anyway. I was like, okay. Because she was in the Priory in Cheadle, because there were no beds for her available on Oak Trees, because, well, there was, but because she tried to kill herself, which was awful, and she ended up in Salford Hospital, and they transferred her to the Priory in Cheadle when she should have been sent back to the Eaton Sod ward, Oak Trees. But her consultant, who is a bitch, and I, after seeing her once, like when the first time I was sent to the service, which was like my BMI was like 19, and she just looked at me and she went, "Oh, you must binge and purge," and I was like, I've never seen that woman again. Anyway, she's had her, and she wouldn't let her go back to the ward because her BMI was over 15, even though there were beds available. And she then, got assessed as a flight risk and went out with the parents to John Lewis, which is like opposite the road. I mean, on the opposite side of the road to the Cheadle Priory, and she threw herself off the top of John Lewis. She said to her parents, "I'm going to get another drink," and she walked the other way and threw herself off the top. And then 4 weeks later, no, not 4 weeks later, 6 weeks later, my other friend Fleur, who had been discharged too soon and had no support whatsoever, threw herself in front of a train. And they go, and there's inquests, and Dr. Morgan goes, "Well, it's not my fault." And you're like, there seems to be a disassociation. What they don't realize is that that's their life. Like, they're treating our lives. So when he's saying to me, "You need to follow those rules," he goes home and does whatever the hell he likes. He has his own life. He's not dictated to. But like, when they really need it and they're let down in such a traumatic way, that people, I mean, I felt that bad since ever. I can't live with myself with the fact of my parents, like, and it's still every night. I always make sure, like, I tell everyone, like, "Oh, I love you," then, like, constantly, like, and my best friend knows if anything were to ever happen, like, where to like look for like something that I've written away. And the thought of like my parents like finding me dead in bed, or like finding me dead on the floor in the bathroom, these things are, and I can't live with myself with the thought of like going through that. So I, for some reason, have always managed to, be hysterical, but I can calm myself down pretty much. And then I watch Schitt's Creek, and that's just another topic. I absolutely die. But no, seriously, my best friend got me on it. I was like, "Are you serious?" She was like, "Yes." I was like, "I'm not watching something called Schitt's Creek." And she was like, "No, you have to watch it." I was like, "I think I saw that at 5 minutes. I'm not watching. I don't like using Mummy." And then I watched it, and I was like, I've never like, I can't stop. I'm like, it just has me in pieces. But I diverse. So these extreme suicide methods, that it's just so like, I couldn't do it. But I've spoken at 3 funerals of the 3 friends that died from suicide, and it's just such a tragedy. It's such a loss that didn't need to happen. It really didn't. That's why it's so important that people become aware, because it's not advertised enough. There is not enough awareness that these things are happening, and the fact that people are remarking on other people's appearance, that can develop into an eating disorder. And an eating disorder is not a diet gone wrong. It's a mental illness. It's a feeling of, not feeling worthy of, because you've got such negative beliefs about yourself that you are subconsciously punishing yourself or going on self-destruct, because that's the only way you know how to process things. I don't know, but it can be resolved, if it's treated in the right way at the right time. But you know, that's not all. I mean, you know, largely that just isn't the case from what I've seen, the experiences that I've gone through. I don't sit here and go, oh, woe is me, I've been through so much, why can't the world give me some life? Like, and I don't look in the mirror and go, oh my God, I'm huge. I'm like, you look like a freaking twiglet, like, do something about it. Like, but then I'm like, I can't, because then I eat. I'm like, it's just this like cake, like this, just it's very odd. It's very insane. I seem to disassociate myself. I can talk about it, I can help people, but it's like turning it back onto yourself. And you are right, there is a willpower there. It's just tuning it in. But it's very intense to think back to like 10 years. I'm not saying it originated at BIM. I think maybe the crisis itself probably started there. I
Right.
think you know, it stemmed from childhood. There's lots of things in childhood. There's nothing big traumatic. It's not, you know, sexual abuse or anything like that. There's just certain traumas. Where my legs again. There's certain things that have gone on that have, you know, obviously built up and built up and built up, and it's gone boom. And sometimes it's like drugs or alcohol or whatever. Sometimes it's eating disorders. Mine seems to have gone with eating disorder, but it's to like look back at it and pinpoint every avenue, which I've been trying to do because for this BIM thing, it's hard to actually explain the whole process, because like you don't go through it in the moment. You go into fight and flight mode. You adapt, or at least I adapt. And I'm like, they've never had to. I've got a weird thing about. They've never had to threaten me with a tube. I've never refused to eat. I've got a lot of people are on tubes, and like the screaming that used to go
What
down
do you
when
mean
these
by tube? Sorry.
tube feed, so that they insert a tube up your nose that goes right down into your stomach, and then they feed you by a tube, which is horrific. And you should like they pin you down and they shove this thing up you. It's just horrific to hear people go through it, because the screams is just unreal. For people that are refusing to eat, there are two options. They will either section you and they'll tube, and that you will tube, then you will be tubed, or they'll tube you. You'll agree to it, or you do the sensible thing and you try and eat them. You know, everyone suffers differently, and if you really seriously can't eat and you're trying and you can't, then I mean, you know, they've got a responsibility. But I whether I mean, tube feeding to me seems just wrong in every sense of it, because I've seen how traumatic it is for people. But
Seems
I mean, I
barbaric
understand.
to me. Like,
Well, it is. I mean, if you see people, I mean, I remember last time there was an autistic guy in there, but I don't know if they hadn't eaten, so there was something going on, but he was there. And I used to talk to him a lot because he'd be around me in the evenings. And he used to have these episodes where he'd get really angry and lash out, or he'd sit somewhere, like he was sitting right by the doors and no one could come through. And they were screaming, there was yelling. There was about 10 of it, 10 of them on him, like restraining him, like pinning him to the floor. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. All you needed to say was, Luke, we just need you to move a little bit back from the front door so everyone can like come and go. But instead they started screaming at him and they restrained him. Get this whole thing kicking off, at the end of having the police in. It's like, you didn't need to do that. Like, all you needed to do was ask politely. Like, it's just like everything that I've seen kind of just all merges into one. So like the origin state in Brighton is so, it seems so far away, but it also seems like it was just yesterday. Like, I remember Steph saying to me, like, lol, like I'm cooking your food, like you need to eat. I remember Jess coming home from work with me and like you're coming to mine, I'm gonna make you, like, she made me like beans on toast, like we're gonna sit here, we're gonna eat it, and you're gonna stay, like, and then we're gonna do this and we'll do that. And then Claire was off her face on drugs most of the time, but Steph was very on it. And do you remember Sarah Clayman,
yeah, yeah.
one of the directors? I think she was with Steph and Alex and that, and I think it was just Steph and Nat. They were been shopping for like mascara outfits, and I'd gone to meet them. I remember Sarah saying to me, "Lauren, do not lose any more weight." And I was like, that was at the first point. I was like, first of all, I don't even know how you know who I am, and second of all, like it was the first time anyone had really like said something. like Katie said, like you don't, like other than Steph and like you're not eating, you're only eating a yogurt, and like she was trying to make me eat, and I'm like, it was. I mean, I can't remember. I remember. Yeah, I think it was just. I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I just talk too much.
No, I love it. I love it. It's perfect. You know,
Thank
it's, you know, it's, we're hearing your story, and you know, we're educating people, and we're also exercising mental health, and we get to catch up, you know, and
Do you
being,
find that your like the struggles that you've gone through, or just generally, if you've gone through what I've gone through, or what you've gone through, or what anybody else gone through, do you think it has? For example, for me, I haven't been able to bring myself to sing for near enough 10 years, and then I've started retraining, and obviously because of purging, it's had irreversible, impacts, and that is something that I really want to get across when we train the vocal teachers at BIM. But it is very damaging, and there will be impact that you cannot reverse.
yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Do you find that it gives you more depth to your vocal, or your instrument? Do you find that it gives you more authentic and a more authentic sound because of the pain that you've gone through? You can really get that gut wrenching moment where you're just like, well, I mean, as a singer, you can feel it. So it's not just your dynamics, it's not just your strength, but you're feeling that pain, and it's authentic. I kind of feel like maybe, like, I like to think that you go through things for a reason, or luckily I've been kept alive, and I should have been dead 5 times now, but I've been kept alive for a reason. Is it to do this thing that Angelique inspired me to do, My Body, My Voice? Is it helping me be more authentic as a singer than maybe I was at 20, like 19, 20? I mean, what do you think?
That's a great question. I think there's like a contradictory two sides of the coin with me on stuff like this, where it's like, you know, I've always kind of tried to do everything my way. You know, if I don't like shit, or if I don't want to do it, I just
You
fucking
know what's
won't.
going off
You know,
right now? Frank Sinatra in my head. I didn't
I
mind.
didn't
I
my
love it. Right,
way.
you need to have grey hair next time, right? And we'll do it. We'll do a duet on My Way. I did it my way. You did it your way. We did it our way. That would be
Absolutely.
a really cool charity single for mental health awareness. We did it our way.
Oh
What do
man,
you
totally.
reckon? Smash and
I think I'm more
Parry.
Kurt Cobain than Frank Sinatra though, so I'm not
Oh
sure
my
I'd be happy
god. Yeah,
to
but
do
we
it.
could do Smash and Parry our
Oh
way.
my god, yeah.
That would be a number one
Yes.
hit. You realise it is.
We will
This is the
we will do
next
this.
thing. I told you I go from tangents. This is the next thing.
This is
You think
definitely
I'm
next thing.
joking as well?
You think I'm joking?
How little do you know I'm being serious?
Well, no, it is a great question, man, because I think there is part of, you know, like I said, there's things that you kind of like, I'll do shit, you know, like in on my own terms. But then there's a thing of like, you know, you read and you hear it in critics, you know, where you go like, ah, the reason why he's such a great songwriter is because X, Y, Z, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, but
Well,
then
they
you
say
have
that with
like,
actors, don't they? The reason that they, can be such. I mean, I was watching thing on Robin Williams last night on YouTube because I was just doing daft stuff on YouTube, and I was watching his thing, and I was like, oh, like, because all these actors that have won great Oscars. I mean, I think I'd be great at acting, or so I've been told. And like the reason that they can get into such dark places and do such profound roles and performances is because they're all off their heads. Like everyone is batshit crazy, but I think all the best people are.
I
So
think
yes,
so.
with that,
I
yeah,
definitely think I've got a couple of screws loose. There's no two ways about it, but I'm okay with
all
that,
the best people do.
you know. And I think what
You
the
are
end.
amongst the elite.
Well, I think with it, right. I don't know if this will resonate with you, right? Is that I'm well aware of my faults. I'm well aware of my strengths. I'm quite aware of who I am, and I'm very comfortable to be able to talk, you know, about these things like that, which I think, which is a great point of view, you know. I just think that at the right moments, I can tap
Yeah,
into the darkness rather than
yeah,
it always tap into me.
yeah. No, I
I
get
know
that
that sounds a bit
completely.
wet and a bit
No,
epic,
no, it doesn't. It
but do you know
sounds
what I
it.
mean? Like if
Yeah, I think
if you're
that's
able
what
to
I was
express
meaning.
art and stuff, you
Yeah,
know, I
I think
think
I
at
do.
the
I,
right time,
so
yeah.
you don't wander around thinking, "Oh, the pain," and then that brings a good performance. I mean, like in the moment when you're performing, you and your band will meet as a vocal. Like there is something that you can click into that maybe wasn't there before you experienced these things. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like reading the lyrics, and like you take it for granted at the age of like 19, 20, you're just reading the words and you're just singing it. Whereas now I'm looking at the words and I'm thinking, no, I understand that. Like I can
Yeah.
feel that, like I get that, I connect with that. Will that give me a more authentic vocal? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But it is
I think the
something that I
pain
was,
that you go through is individual.
yeah,
Some people can handle shit like it doesn't, like water off a duck's back, and some people have gone through a fraction of things that I've been through and a fraction of things that you're been through, and they just can't handle it. There's definitely like so many variables and so many levels of detail about these things that it's hard to kind of anchor to at any given time. But
it
I
is
think,
crazy, isn't it?
yeah, it's nuts. But I
So
think,
individual.
yeah, but I think being able to kind of, it's not about control. I don't think it's about things like that. But I definitely think that, you know, right, if I take, for example, the moment before I'm on stage, like I need like 10 minutes of like, just everyone leave me
Do
the
you
fuck
remember
alone.
Pat Heath? He always used to say, before you go on stage, go and poo.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's always on with me. He's like, just go poo. I was like,
I
okay,
do. I do. We call it the
dear.
pre-game shit. Yeah,
I
the
love
pre-game
it.
shit. Yeah, yeah. So you got to go and do that, and I get into character. That's the thing.
That's what
It's
you need.
because
Yeah.
I have to separate the two. Have to
Yeah.
separate Nikki, the the husband
Daddy.
father, to Nikki, the twat with a guitar. And
Oh, twat.
you know, and they're two separate things. And when there's a
Yeah.
guitar around me, I'm not dad. I'm not, I'm not
Yeah.
husband and stuff. When the guitar's off me, I'm not rock star. I hate the term rock
Yeah.
star, but you know what I mean. Like it's, just to
Yeah.
differentiate between the two. I am not that. There's definitely like, I feel a power. I'm so it's, not to jump on a spiritual train here, but like,
I feel the
um,
power of
yeah,
divine
when
intervention.
yeah,
He came to me one sunny night. Zen.
there's definitely a
I
thing.
do yoga. I'm very zen. In the
Yeah,
moment.
right.
Live in the moment. Be
I,
present.
yes, I'm very into like the Power of Now, Eckhart
I
Tolle. It's a
love it.
great book. you know I think there's an element of like, when I have a guitar around me, it's like, you know
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
power that I get from it, that
There is. Yeah.
it's like a shield of armor. It's the same
Mm.
when you're like on stage and you have a microphone in your hand. It's like
Yeah.
Thor's hammer, or like a
I think that's
superpower.
why I think that's why I was so afraid to actually sing when I didn't I literally hadn't sung for 10 years until like the beginning of like no like the end of so from like middle of it was around my birthday time I started training again. I was like I just couldn't do it. And people were like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I just can't because it was like it felt like it was going to be too painful. And
Do
then
you
it
mean
was like
physically or emotionally, or both?
emotionally.
Right.
Yeah, not physically. Because I did actually, a couple of years ago, I was gonna go to the BIM in Bristol. So I'd
Right.
gone down to BIM Bristol to finish my degree, or gone down to like audition and met with like the head of vocals. It wasn't K-Cab, but it was some really tall guy. And like I was preparing for it, I did it, and I was just like, no, it's just that I'm not. I still can't. It just still doesn't feel right. It just didn't sit right. And then he asked me a really stupid question, and I was like, I should have known that. Like I said, if it was like originally like a few years ago, I would know that. But he said to me like, "Oh, who's number one at the moment?" And I think I said something stupid like Maroon 5. I was like, I don't know. And it turned out it was like something completely different. And I just didn't know. I just wasn't connected. Um, so I think I just kind of like let it go because it was too painful to like do it because it was the one thing that was like my crutch. So when I was getting really bullied in high school, I would come home and put my headphones in and be transported off to my little music world. That would be
Right.
the same thing in BIM when I would come home, put my headphones in and be in my own little music world. But then I was also outside in my little music world as well.
That
And
was the
now that
original
little
Power
music
Brian, I think.
world,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was such a thing. And I remember specifically Pat saying something that will always stick in my mind is like, you don't want to be I don't want you to getting on, like he said, I got on a bus the other day, and like an old student of mine was driving the bus. He was like, you don't want to be a bedroom musician, like where you just perform in your bedroom, where you just sing in your bedroom. You want to be out there doing it. And that's something that's always stuck with me. And I'm like, I don't want to be a bedroom singer, but at the moment, like I'm just even like rehabilitating myself. I don't even know like what's going on half the time. So it's like,
But that's part of your journey, though, isn't it? That's what's part of your
I guess
makeup,
so.
You know.
I think it does all happen for a reason. It's just not always enjoyable.
Right,
But
yeah, of course. Well, let's talk about where you're at now then. You've got this new kind of venture thing that you're going on,
yeah.
and
Are you coming on the 12th?
hell yeah. So
Good.
next
So it's like
Friday.
so this Friday we've got someone I was actually in hospital with that messaged me a few weeks back after I'd done a live with Becky saying, oh, when can I come on and do like motherhood post eating disorder? And I was like, oh my God. I was like, that is such a good like topic. I was like, that I'd never, or would it ever cross my mind? I was like, if she'd not said it. So that's going on Friday. She's talking about like motherhood post anorexia. And then Alex Penfold is going to come and hopefully and do vocals. And then I don't know if you know Laura. She was in our year.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
gonna
She's
come.
Laura Banana on
Yeah,
Instagram, isn't she? Yeah. I
yeah,
remember her, yeah.
she's fab. Um, she's actually just signed up to do COVID testing, so we're actually going to be FaceTiming later in the week, about her, coming on to do a live at 5. So basically, it came across as I went down to Brighton, reconnected with Dom. We then got chatting over drinks, and he was like, we were talking about the degree and the fact that I'd had to drop out, and about finishing it, and it all ended up anyway. So he got in contact with John Stewart, and then he reconnected us with Angelique. So then I was dealing with Angelique, and we were just getting along really well. And then she was like, right, I want to Zoom again tomorrow. I'm going to bring Caitlin, and Caitlin is someone who works in student support. I think she's like underneath Ange. And so we did this like Zoom on the Friday, and it just turned out to be a regular thing. We're just having a wild time, and they were like, oh my God, like, we're turning you into a brand. And I was like, I literally fell off my chair. I was like, in no way, shape, or form is that actually viable. And she was like, no, seriously, you're so entertaining. Like, you need to do this. And I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to fucking humiliate myself on social media. Like, I was embarrassing enough. Like, absolutely not. Anyway, they taught me into it. So yeah, so that was the emergence of my body, my voice, which is yet to gain enough followers to have any impact. But
no, I disagree. You're making an impact a minute. So where can people find you on social media? What's tell us.
We are setting, I am setting up a Facebook group. Apparently I need to do that. There's also something called Bin Connect. I have to post on that. Do you know about that? Apparently it's like where everyone at Bin posts. And it's on Instagram. It's at my voice, and it is a peer-to-peer mentoring platform system for vocalists struggling with eating disorders, or young creatives, musicians, or generally anyone struggling with an eating disorder, just to have a place, especially at the moment when everything's so tough and so random, where there's like a safe refuge to know that your feelings are authentic, you're completely validated, that there is someone that cares, and there is someone that will listen. And I don't have this I get told off because apparently I should have boundaries. I don't put a boundary on my time, because like eating disorders to me don't just stop at midnight. Like, it's not a 9 to 5 thing. It's like,
exactly.
I'm not gonna not mentor or not reply to a message that I've received if it's out of the hours of 9 to 5. Like, of course not, especially like now, and just to kind of I'm seeing if it's gonna take off or if it's gonna have any effects whatsoever, which I'm not sure whether it is, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, so that's basically going on at the moment, alongside I'm working with like my childhood friend, but she's like moved back from Dubai. She's over in Dubai with her twin sister, but she's moved back. And she posted on Instagram. I was like, oh, she's moved back, and she's like a personal trainer. So I've been I reconnected with her. We do personal training every week, so she's like making me stronger, and making that cook, and then send these pictures, and it's fab. And then just trying to get better and working with an RTT therapist who was like an ex-student of BIM, but like an old, like a mature student. And it's not our years. I think she did like a songwriting something. But she's called Sally and she's like a magician. It's a radical transformation therapy. So I came down to Brighton and did 2 sessions with her, and she's like a magician. But then I've had this session with my sister's like mentor life coach person, Isabel, in Australia, and this woman is amazing. So I'm going to be working with Isabel. So at the moment, it's just like trying to figure out what to do. I really want to get into teaching, but I'm not quite sure how to do it. So I've got all these different things that I want to do, but I don't know how to go about it. And there's a lot, like when I went on to teach in the UK, it was like, oh, you need a degree to do this, or you need this, or, and with COVID at the moment, I don't even know if anyone's like teaching or what's going on or anything. So, but I don't want to be like an old person, like still here. I'm like turning into like a fucking spinster, and I'm like, I don't want that to happen. No, literally, I'm like at night, I'm like, I just like an old haggard spinster, like sitting there like a wet cabbage on my bed, like going, what is this? Why is this like? Why is this life? Like this is ridiculous. Like literally. So yeah, that's my big worry at the moment. I'm turning into a spinster.
You're not.
Yeah.
Don't think like that, man. So, well, I'll tell you what, we should save talking about the vocal stuff for our chat on your channel next week.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I hope you're excited.
I am so excited.
Although it cuts off after an hour after I learned the other week. Just went dead in the middle. I thought I'd lost the whole thing. Like, fuck. And then I managed to find it like in the archive somewhere. I Googled it. I was like, you must be able to find it. And you can't find it. I found it. But yeah, it does cut you off on like Zoom. We did a surprise hen party on Zoom for my like future, my brother's fiance last weekend. And like her side are all wild Scousers. I mean, even like the nana who's like 80, wild. What I thought would be an hour Zoom from 7 o'clock, yeah. With like she sent us some stuff like pictures with like Jack's face on and like little like bubbles and just different things and like glasses. Ended up being so it went from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. So how long's that?
It's
like
a long time.
7 hours.
Yeah.
Like 7 hours. Oh my god. Like when their Scouser family meets our Scouser side of the family, oh my god. It's going to be mayhem. I've never laughed so hard in my life. Like these women are wild, absolutely wild. But I will never, ever, ever look at my brother in the same way ever again.
Oh,
I was like, get that off the screen right now. Like things that you don't need to see. And I was like, my mother's on this. Put that away. Like, ew. It was not good. But yeah, Zoom party is the way forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren, we'll catch up next week on my body.
We will.
On your channel. I cannot wait. It's going to be
Good.
amazing.
I've got
And
some exciting things to ask.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know, you have the most incredible story and you're one of the most incredible humans. You should always remember that.
Bless you. I disagree, but bless you anyway.
You can't disagree with me. It's a non-disagreeable comment.
I see.
You know?
Well, we need to figure out when we're doing Smash and Parry and when we're releasing Our Way, and we need to record it, you know. It needs to be done 2021. We'll do it our way.
We'll do it.
Do you think I'm joking?
I'm not joking. I'm
not
well
joking.
Into it. We're doing this. We're doing this.
I'll be all over it. I'll be contacting the BBC.
Damn right.
Tell them exactly what we've got ready.
I might finally get onto some BBC radio. Oh no, I was on.
Yeah.
I've got radio.
Amazing. Did you?
Yeah.
Great. That's brilliant.
So I should be expecting like
Super
a £2.30 paycheck for that.
Oh my God, royalties.
I know.
I forgot all about that.
I know.
It's crazy.
Oh
my God, it's big.
Well,
you got a baby coming.
I know.
A little bobber. When's it due?
June.
Oh my goodness. Perfect. Summer birthdays are the best. I was born in July.
There you go.
So definitely. Do you know if you're having a boy or a girl?
I'm having a girl.
Oh, you'll have daddy's little girl.
I know.
Amazing. Have you got any names, or are you not? Are you waiting until you meet her?
We've got a name, but we're not telling anyone until.
You're not telling anyone. Fair enough. It's not something daft, though, is it? Like Peach. Oh my God! Please don't call your child Peach.
It's not going to be a fruit.
Edward, something like daft like that. My brother was like getting a puppy, and he was like, so this like litter of puppies are being like sold, and they're just adorable, like puppy king, like King Charles Spaniel, is it,
Oh
like
my
the Lady and
God.
the Tramp? So cute. And like they picked the one, and it's called Sprout. But Jack was like, I'm not calling it Sprout. He was like, it's going to be called Kevin or Sergio. And I was like, under those circumstances, are you calling a puppy Kevin or Sergio? He got straight on to Alicia, who's his fiance. I said, you are not calling that puppy Sergio. And she was like, don't worry, that is not happening. Because I was like, I've got a puppy. Well, I'm getting a puppy. See, this isn't in my what I'm putting out into the universe. And if you look on my Body My Voice page, you'll see a picture of a puppy hanging out of a window. That's Parsnip. Parry and Parsnip. Puppy called Parsnip. I kid
Oh
you
my
not,
God.
that is my future puppy. Parsnip.
I love that.
There's the thing, the Parsnip. Well, there's the thing. Have you ever heard? This is like really weird spiritual. I was reading this book by Lorna Byrne. She's like an angel person, and I was like, this woman is either batshit crazy or she's got something. So I started reading this book, and I was like, and she's talking about how when she was a child, you know, when she was literally a baby, she would see all these other little babies and all angels, and she's always going to see this. And the more it was more addictive, so I went on and read the third and fourth book and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, and then she mentioned something about like you meet your guardian angel, like you meet in heaven, and like your soul connects, and together you come up with a name, and but you don't know what that name is, but you've come up with it together, and it's like if there's a name that's always in the back of your head, then that could well be the name of your guardian angel. And I was around a friend, I was like, Lizzie, fuck. I think my guardian angel's called Parsnip. Like, what am I supposed to call my puppy if my guardian angel's called Parsnip? Like, what's going on? Like, can I change his name? Like, I looked around my back and was like, can I change your name? And I was like waiting for a sign, waiting for like a feather or something. And like, there is yet to be a feather coming. So at the moment, I've got a bit of a problem. But I am also wanting a sausage dog called Cecil. So it'll be Parsnip and Cecil the sausage dog. And
Cecil's a
then
great name. Bring
Cecil
it
the
back.
sausage dog, right? And then, you know, one of those big poofy Pomeranians?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want one called Pudding. So there'll
Pudding,
be
parsnip, and
Parsnip, Cecil, and Pudding. And you think I'm sane, right? This
yeah,
is what
absolutely.
medication does. You tell you rattle when you up and you have 3 puppies. Like, I'm not gonna be like a cat. I'm just not a cat person. They absolutely terrify me, and I think they're horrible. And everyone I know and love has a cat, but it's no reflection on them. I can't bear them. But yeah, I'm gonna be a dog spinster with Parsnip, Cecil, and Pudding.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
there we go. Fabulous.
Well,
As
Lauren,
I just destroyed your first podcast.
no, it was beautiful, man. Thank you. Honestly, Lauren, thank you so much for giving up your time, to come
Don't be
and
daft. Anytime for you.
pop the Nikki Smash Show cherry.
Or you can
It was
pop the
great.
My Body, My Voice cherry
Yes,
next
absolutely.
Friday.
Next
Tune in
Friday.
on Friday.
Yes,
You might learn some.
absolutely.
Not that you're a
Absolutely.
mother, but yeah.
Well, Lauren,
Parenthood.
yeah, of course, we'll do it. I can't wait.
All right, my
So
love. Well, thank you for the chat, and thank you for like giving me the honor of being your first guest.
absolutely,
Amazing.
absolutely.
And big love to your purple hair and to Becca.
Thank you.
Tell her to
Absolutely.
dye it.
I know. I
Listen,
dyed it last night. This is fresh. You're the first
swear.
person to see it.
Call it lavender.
Lavender. No, that makes. Oh no.
Lavender.
Do you know what it looks like? A purple rinse. That's bad, isn't it? Fuck.
I'm
Shit.
seeing like Edna, what's her name? Dame Edna Everage, just like passing through my mind. You know, like big purple like
Not Dame
wig.
Edna Everage, man.
I love it. Absolutely love it. But
Well,
I will let you go.
Lauren, huge love. I can't wait to see you next
Big
week.
love,
Talk
darling.
more.
I will
But
see you on Friday.
yeah.
Thank you for this
Lauren.
recording. It's super.
No worries.